Yo, you got a minute?
What's up?
You got a package from Razer.
Huh. What exactly is that?
I have no idea, man, but I'm just gonna leave it on the desk, so feel free to take a look at it when you have the time.
Okay.
Alright, bye.
Alright, so this looks like it's the new Nari Ultimate by Razer. Feel every battle. You've got a cool sound wave representation over here. The future of gaming, audio immersion, early haptic technology. This will be interesting. You've got a bunch of stuff here, and I assume that's the headset. So let me pull it out. Check that out. It's pretty cool looking.
Okay, so with the Nari Ultimate, Razer's really trying something different by integrating haptic technology within these headsets. So it's based on audio cues from a game engine. So whether that's firing gunshots or blowing up stuff within the gameplay, you're going to feel a little bit of that vibration on your ears, and I think that's going to be certainly interesting to test out. So yeah, let's check out the Nari Ultimate right after a message from our sponsor.
Evolve with the times. Consider NVMe storage today. The new RC100 brings affordable NVMe storage into your hands with various capacities in this super compact form factor that plugs directly into your motherboard. It's extremely power efficient and utilizes Toshiba's advanced 3D flash memory for awesome speeds, so you can be a happy user. The RC100 by Toshiba, the NVMe drive to consider. Check it out below.
Alright, so after examining the headset a bit closely, the first thing that sticks out to me the most is the size of the Nari Ultimates. I mean, it is huge. Almost looks like it's gonna crush my skull or something. And this type of design has been embedded within Razer's Nari series of headsets. So it's not like it's a revolutionary step in terms of design. They almost look very much identical to the other Nari headsets that Razer's offering. Now, given the size of this headset, it's also a bit on the heavier side as well, coming in at just a tad above 400 grams, which is a lot, and you'll definitely start to notice the heaviness once you start wearing it for longer periods of time. And let's be honest here for a sec, you're not going to wear this in public transit just casually moving around here and there, because it's just not practical. That being said, I do like the gunmetal gray finish on this headset. It does add a nice stealth appeal. The body is mostly constructed out of hard plastic materials, but it is put together really well. There are no signs of creaking, which should be expected considering this thing costs $200. You heard that right. The Nari Ultimates, they're $200. Now, if you watched any of my previous headset reviews, you know me and my relationship with headsets featuring self-adjusting headbands. It's really not my thing, as the metal frame above the headband can cause reverberations when it gets in contact with anything, and it is very much noticeable with the Nari Ultimate. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something worth noting. Razer has also implemented a few other cool add-ons to this headset to make it a bit more appealing. So first up, the ear cuffs. They feature cooling gel-infused cushions to reduce heat buildup over intense gaming sessions. So for instance, if you wear this headset first thing during the day, and if you plan on using it for multiple hours, you're going to notice that cooling factor for around 10 to 15 minutes around your ears, and it's actually pretty cool. But as hours pass by, that's going to fade out eventually, because heat's obviously going to start building up and it doesn't stay consistent. But the good thing is that the cooling gel cushions actually absorb the heat really well, so I can actually wear this for longer periods of time, at least during my period of testing, so that's pretty awesome. It's nowhere closer to the active thermoelectric cooling solution that we were able to test out with the HP Mindframe headset. If you guys are interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link right over here. But that's a whole new level. That thing's powered by USB, and you can adjust how active the cooling should be through software, which is, again, pretty amazing, cool tech. Next up is flexibility, and the Nari Ultimate can be comfortably placed around your neck with the ear cups rotated 90 degrees, so you can easily maneuver your head around if you're taking constant breaks here and there, which is pretty nice. I should also mention that this is a wireless gaming headset, and it communicates with your PC via this included 2.4 GHz USB receiver. Kudos to Razer for making it low profile, unlike some other wireless headsets we've taken a look at in the past. Plus, there's a built-in storage compartment within the headset to safely store it, which is awesome. Now, you can also use the Nari Ultimate in wired mode, and that can be done by connecting the included 3.5mm audio cable to an Xbox One or PS4 controller, or even your smartphone, provided that it has a headphone jack to expand usability. But I will mention that haptic feedback does work in wired mode. It's just that you have to make sure that there's actual power on the headset, because that technology is powered by the battery cells built inside the headset. So that's something to keep note of. If you run out of battery, you're definitely going to miss haptics. I should also mention that when you're using the Nari Ultimate in wired mode, it is going to disable RGB lighting permanently, which is a good thing. But do note that you can't adjust the intensity of the haptics in this mode since it requires Synapse for that. However, if you fine-tune that in software and then switch to the wired mode, the settings will carry along automatically. The included USB cable can only be used to charge the headset, and while you can still use the headset while charging, the cable by itself was not long enough, so I had a tough time routing it behind my PC or even using my front I/O connector, so that was a little bit uncomfortable. So you have to make sure that you charge the headset on a regular basis because this cable is not long enough. Now, in terms of buttons, on the left ear cup, there's a mic mute button, also game chat balance dial that can either increase the in-game volume and decrease the voice chat or vice versa, and I like this inclusion. Then you have your power button, a micro USB port to charge the headset. I wished if it was Type-C, but that's just me. There's also an analog connector to use the headset in wired mode. Switching over to the right ear cup, you'll notice the volume dial, and do note that it actually doesn't sync up with the main volume mixer on Windows 10. So what I would recommend is max out the volume within Windows and then use this dial to adjust the volume on the headset. And now onto the microphone test. And guys, I'm really impressed with the quality coming out of the Nari Ultimates. I mean, I have my system running in the background, my heater's turned on, and it does a really good job isolating that. In fact, I'm typing on my mechanical keyboard featuring Romaji switches, and as you can hear, it does a really good job isolating that. Now, I will mention that there is a little bit of digital compression taking place with my voice, so it doesn't sound as boomy, or there's a lack of bass with my vocals, so it doesn't sound full, but that's, I guess, the nature of all the background noise compression that's happening. And this is also wireless, so that's another factor to consider. The microphone is non-removable, but it is retractable, so it goes back to the headset. And there's a little LED indicator around the tip here, so when you mute the microphone, when you activate the mute button, it turns red, which is a good visual indication as to whether or not if you muted your conversation during a chat or something like that. But let me know in the comments down below what do you guys think about the quality. Is it impressive for $200? All right, so let's switch gears and talk about the key selling feature of the Nari Ultimate, and that is Razer's HyperSense Technology. So essentially, they've implemented two advanced LP haptic drivers developed by Lofelt that convert sound signals into dynamic touch sensory feedback in real time. In other words, you'll experience haptic feedback on your face, or vibrations if you want to call it another way, depending on the type of content you're consuming. But it doesn't end there. In fact, these drivers are fine-tuned to cover a wider frequency range, unlike some other haptic drivers that just cover a narrower range, and on top of that, they provide stereo feedback. So for instance, if you're listening to music that's more guitar-based, as the artist is strumming the strings, you'll physically feel the vibrations as he's doing that, and it's actually pretty amazing. There is one issue though. If the music you listen to has a large bass track, the haptic feedback will be pretty constant. For example, with Starboy from The Weeknd, the vibration didn't stop through the whole song and it was kind of annoying. However, gaming, on the other hand, is a whole other story. The haptic feedback really adds that extra layer of immersion. I tried a few titles like Battlefield 1 and Overwatch, and man, when you're firing gunshots or when you even hear explosions in the background, the haptic feedback feels powerful and in some cases real. On top of that, it's balanced on both your left and right channels as well. So if something blows up on the left and if you shift towards that side, the feedback transitions easily onto your right channel, giving it a great sense of positional awareness. And those haptic drivers are dynamic, meaning if something blows up farther away from you, it's not going to sound as powerful, or it's going to be present, but it's going to be a little less powerful compared to when something blows up a little bit further ahead of you or something that's closer to you. Now, on the downside, this technology is more dependent on the volume as well. So if you increase the volume, it's going to be more powerful, but as you decrease it, it's just going to fade away very fast. So that's something to be noted. Now, does that mean that it's going to take a hit on sound quality? It's really hard to describe that, especially when you're gaming, because, for example, in Battlefield 1, which is a fast-paced game, everything just happens so fast. So it's really hard to break it down because you have, great audio quality, but also this haptics just sort of fused together, giving you this really interesting immersion effect. And again, it sounds great, but if I were to just describe it from a sound signature perspective, just especially when listening to songs or anything like that, these headphones are more bass heavy and they don't necessarily crush the higher frequencies, but the mids could do some work because, if Razer could tune it a little bit to give it a little more body to the sound, that would have been nice. But overall, they sound pretty good. It's not like revolutionary or anything like that, but again, I think the main star of the show with the Nari Ultimate is the HyperSense technology. Moving on to battery life, and I'm going to say it's decent. So with the haptics and RGB lighting turned on, expect up to 8 hours of battery life, but with those two disabled, you can get a little bit over 20 hours, which is still a little bit on the lower side, so you have to make sure that you plug it in every night so that you can use it the next day. I did wish if Razer included some sort of wireless charging method, especially if they integrated Qi charging. It would have been nice to sort of place it on a base station or something like that. Oops. I just hit the keyboard. And the last thing to cover here is Razer Synapse software. All in all, it's a pretty good experience with controls for things like 3D spatial audio and all the other features you'd expect. Another nice addition is the ability to control the haptic feedback intensity, which I ended up setting to 60% in games and 20% for music. Setting it to 100% at times did feel a little bit too powerful, but I'm glad that it's at least customizable. The lighting tab allows you to adjust the brightness of the LED and of course cycles between 3 different effects like static, breathing, and spectrum cycling. I still don't understand why RGB lighting should exist on a headset, but it is there if you need it and it is nice and subtle. The output is diffused evenly, and when you turn it off, it doesn't really show that there are LED lit in the first place, so that's pretty cool. The one thing I feel that was missing is a battery percentage readout, since the small icon just isn't good enough to tell exactly how much is remaining. And so guys, this brings us to the conclusion, and the Nari Ultimates by Razer is certainly an interesting product for 2018 because, for one, the main key selling feature of this headset is Razer's HyperSense technology that actually gives you a dynamic real-time haptic feedback when you're gaming, and it's just awesome. It doesn't feel, as consistent. It responds to different frequency ranges within a gameplay, and you really have to feel it for yourself in person. For other content-consuming stuff like listening to music, it again depends on the type of genre you're listening to. In some cases, it gets a little annoying. In some cases, it's actually pretty good. But I really have to give props to Razer for actually trying out something new, or trying something different with their gaming headset. And I should mention that Razer isn't the first brand to implement this sort of technology on a headset. We've seen other brands try to implement this on other gaming peripherals, and the community has received they have received an interesting feedback in the community. So there is a price to pay for this headset. $200 is a lot. It hurts, but if you're looking for something with a little bit more immersion that will give you that extra oomph when it comes to gaming, then sure, the Nari Ultimates is certainly worth trying out, provided that you're okay with sacrificing some of the other quirks that I mentioned earlier in the review. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about the Nari Ultimates. Would you actually consider spending $200 for a headset that gives you a real-time haptic feedback? If so, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'm Ibor with hardwarecanucks. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out some relevant content over here. Subscribe to our new Boot Sequence channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.